So we're here to talk through this Aqre puzzle by Eric Fox called Sixes, where except for this region, I'm seeing everything else having the clue 6 in it, which is pretty narrow design, a pretty impressive puzzle even before it gets started. I'm seeing my eye drawn first to this outermost one, where I'm going to start to just draw in some 1x4 boxes. That's the size where I will always have to have at least one shaded or one unshaded cell within such a box. In this case, where the shading count is low for really big region side, I need a shaded cell in blue, a shaded in red, another down here in red, another here in blue. So that's 4, 5, 6. So all the shaded cells are in those spaces, which means I'm never shading these, but in ever drawing these in, recognize you can always like move them around a bit, and so it's not that this is the unique way to tile, but having seen all of these as now unshaded, I actually know for sure I shade this in that stretch of blue, and then that means this in the stretch of red, and this in the stretch of blue. This being a stretch of 3 in a row means these cells are shaded in here. This being unshaded means this cell is too far away for that 1x4 group to work. One of these and 3 in red must be shaded. Similarly up here, 2 unshaded in a row means the shaded cells in these 2 to the right edge of that group, not these, which means in blue it's to the right edge of these in the group, not the far left. So this looks like a good way to mark out that top group. We need to get some cells moving out to the left for connectivity. We can see that we'll take a second cell coming vertically out from these. So I sort of have 1, 2, 3, 4 cells marked in this region, but right now it looks like I only have a forced fifths in this column, so I don't have as much to do there. But let's look at this other bigger region. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all those cells are specified. So this isn't shadable, which means this and this propagating up aren't shadable. I'm not reaching to this lower left corner with that blue cell because it wouldn't connect to anything else. I'm not reaching to this red cell because it can't come up because that's already unshaded, can't go left, right. So this looks pretty good. It's actually also the case, I guess I can't take this cell. Notice if I take this cell, I have to immediately come up, but this also has to immediately come up, and there's only one cell in this group just above. So what I really have is a case where it looks like this lower right corner is going like this or like this. If it did come like this, it's got to move over to the left and take that cell. So I think I can actually leave this corner shaded this way with this for sure, this for sure, this marked in, and one more cell taken. Now, as we work through that, we got in this lower left corner these 2 marked as unused, which means this is unused, which means this is unused. And now I think this whole column becomes interesting because it's got 8 cells that are in total, 3 of them already unshaded. And it's no longer the case in 8 cells that one shaded cell is enough. 1 by 7 with a shaded cell in the middle is a maximal a set with just 1 shaded. So in this case, I need 1 of these 2 shaded in red, 1 of these 3 shaded in blue because of this 1 by 8 group with a single at the top and 2 at the bottom that are unshaded. And that means I actually have 6 cells marked in this region now. Marks these in. This for connectivity, now 3 in a row. That actually means that whatever is the cell in blue or red is going to keep coming down, and I now see a constraint. I'm not taking 4 in a row, so this path is bad, which means I'm taking this red, this red, this red. I know these aren't used. I don't know anything about this cell yet, but we're going to have some constraints about connecting to the rest of the grid, so I think this will become important to think about. Never taking this in blue. Some stuff can come across, but I think for right now, I need another cell here, another cell here. That's not going to give enough constraints in the 6 space. I think what's probably the more interesting, although this is a very ridiculous place to think to look, is probably this lower right cage. And I'm thinking about that because having solved some number of Aqre, not yet a ton of Aqre, it's a newish puzzle still, I'm thinking to myself, is this the gray cell and this gray cell, do they connect within this box? And when I'm looking at that, if they get connected through this box, and like this quick escape path is fine, or might seem to be fine. And so here's a way they get connected in the box with 4 cells, and I can get, I guess, following Aqre rules out like this in 6. But notice this is a big 4x4 region in general, which means I do have to shade one of these 4 and one of these 4, which means I only have 2 cells at play over here. So let's look at all the ways this gray and this gray connect. Here's one way that marks this off, and then we can't connect, so that's not possible. Here's another, but that marks this in and marks that for connection, so that's not possible. Here's another that marks these in. That looks okay, except how are we going to get connected to the rest of the grid? We'd have to come through this cell, and then take another in blue, and then here, and now we've got all this in a row, no shaded cell up here, big issue. So the short form of what I'm trying to get at is this gray and this gray are part of different groups, and there's also still a key constraint count of how many cells can be shaded here. And so let's look at each of these gray groups and say how quickly can get into this S-shaped region. This gray group here has a count of 2. It can come straight up and get to that edge. This one has a count of 4 if you really think hard about the Aqre rules. It can't come straight and then continue straight. It could do something like this, it can do this, but it has to get to this cell and then over. And so here's a 4 plus a 2 that actually is a constraint that's true in this whole cage to get 6 to work. So after we know this cell and this cell don't connect, we have to get this and this in 4 and this to the edge in 2. Marking that in actually tells us we do take this path, that puts this in, 3 unmarked in a row puts in this. This has to come up and take this cell. We've got actually these all in unshaded, so they're actually forcing these. So this 6 group is getting really full really quickly. And remember, this one in blue has to take another one up above, and actually I've got 3 unshaded here, so I know more than that. This coming in, so I've actually completed this region. So I'll mark all that in. It's a lot of progress and pretty quick. That means this cell isn't used for this count to be right. This has to come up and over. We're not taking this red cell to come further left, but we'll take these. Don't know anything about this cell yet. Something I didn't cover at the start, but I'll cover now just because it's probably something people observed. These smallest regions, these 2x4 boxes, they don't have an issue if they're shaded cells. They have an issue if they're unshaded cells. There are 2 unshaded cells, and one of them will have to be in this vertical space here, one will be in this vertical space there, and that constraint's true in each of these boxes. So once I actually mark in this unshaded here, these must be shaded. That means one of these 2 is unshaded, but these must then be shaded. Means one of these 2 is unshaded, means these are shaded. And putting that in, I guess, propagates all the way to the top, a constraint where I'm not taking both of these in blue. So I take this and this and this, and that looks fine. That marks this off as unshaded, puts these in as shaded, so one of these 2 is unshaded, which means these propagating down, this propagating down. Make that work. That's a pretty indirect but necessary step. So looks like good progress. Let's come back to the middle right. For connectivity, I've got to come up through here, but that marks off the cell. It actually then shades in the cell. But these will have to come to the left to stay connected. This will have to come up to stay connected then after that. These 3 coming across are unshaded marks in this, which marks off this. That doesn't give me anything propagating up. I guess it gives me something propagating from the left. I'm not taking this blue cell and that blue cell, so I have to take this and this. Don't know anything about that cell there yet. See if there's anything else easily. There's probably something about how this top cage gets connected, and again, thinking about these could be part of the same shaded group and connect through this cell, or they could be separate. We talked a little bit about that separate path where something like a 4 plus 2 would work. So let's see if we can convince ourselves why these don't work to be together. One is likely just thinking about the shaded cell count. So before I mark this in, I need at least one of these shaded, at least one of these shaded, at least one of these shaded for this to work. So 5 of the 6 are accounted for in the group, and connectivity is going to be hard through this red space if it's only taking one of these. So notice if I don't take this red cell here, I'm going to be taking this and this, marking this off, but now I have to take this in red, another in blue, and I've taken 6 cells and I don't have anywhere to go out from the grid. So I do always take this in red, so I don't take this, so I do take this. And so now I'm in this scenario, these 4 cells marked in. Again, one of these needing to be shaded in blue with one more to go. And so we saw that if I wasn't taking this path and I have to take these to be connected, that's 5, but I can't join to here 4 in a row, and I've got a 6 cell marked in. So I actually, in bringing these groups together, have spent too many cells to have them escape. So this is a 2 plus a 4. This comes straight down and across that edge. This is bending, but now it completes that group, and the 6 cell gets marked off. These 3 unshaded means this is shaded, that unshaded. Connectivity forces here. Can't come and take both of these cells, so connectivity forces this, marks this off, marks this in, marks this off, 6 in the box. 3 vertical being shaded means this is marked off, this marked off, so we've got good progress to here. Let's sort of figure out what's next. Well, one thing is the bottom of the grid has to connect to the top of the grid, and look at this whole diagonal of green. If I don't take these cells coming through this channel, I don't connect the top with the bottom, so that looks very forced. That means where I'm taking one of these in red, I'm not taking this bottom one, it wouldn't be connected, so I had to take this in red, but that doesn't want 4 in a row, so I take this in blue, that finishes this off, puts these in, and now I actually have 6 already marked in this column, so I just have this region to think about, and these cells have to connect to the other cells, so I'm going to take that as the last shaded cell. So we've got all the way through this puzzle. Pretty curious design, but a really interesting design through all the uses of the 6 clues, starting from these sparse 1x4 patterns. We got some of the outer frame pieces solved. I think this 4x4 box was one of the key ones to work through, both to get 6 cells shaded, get everything connected, and what that meant is we had to keep the 2 cells we knew the most about separate, so we had a 2 plus a 4 to get escape. We'd actually run into a similar 2 plus 4 escape in the top. At the end there. So a lot to learn through solving this puzzle. Hopefully even just seeing that the region shapes and the clue types in Aqre give a lot of different properties, and that was true throughout this whole week, including now this final Saturday puzzle from Eric. So thanks for watching this video. We'll have more Aqres on the site soon, including a Sunday Stumper tomorrow. But we'll catch you later.